Dr. Jiwon Park wiped his sweaty palms on his lab coat for the 5th time in 10 minutes. The hallway of the alien ship felt too warm, yet his skin prickled with goosebumps. This was it. After years of searching the stars for signs of life, aliens had found humans instead. "Are you well, Dr. Park?" asked the blue-skinned guide walking beside him. The alien called itself Threnval and had 4 arms, each ending in 3 long fingers. Its voice came from somewhere in its chest, making a soft, buzzing sound. "I'm fine," Jiwon said, "just excited and nervous." Threnval's head tilted. "Your heart rate is elevated. Your skin releases moisture. These are signs of distress in your species, yes?" "Sometimes, but also signs of excitement," Jiwon explained. "Humans often have the same physical reactions to different emotions." The alien blinked its large golden eyes. "This makes no biological sense." Jiwon smiled. This wasn't the first time he'd heard that today. The door at the end of the hallway slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a large round room filled with strange machines and screens. 6 different alien species worked at various stations. Some looked almost human-like, while others resembled nothing Jiwon had ever seen before. In the center stood a tall reptilian being with scales that shifted between deep blue and gray. 2 curved horns crowned its head, and a long tail swayed gently behind it. "Welcome, human," the reptilian being said. "I am Admiral Kosfen of the Galactic Council. This is our primary science vessel." Jiwon bowed slightly. "Thank you for having me aboard. I'm Dr. Jiwon Park, xenobiologist from Earth." "Xenobiologist," Kosfen repeated the word slowly. "You study alien life. Now you are the alien life being studied. Interesting, yes?" "Very interesting," Jiwon agreed. He glanced around at the strange equipment. "Your technology is amazing." "It serves its purpose," Kosfen said simply. "We have been studying your planet for some time. Your species is unusual." "How so?" Jiwon asked, though he had a feeling he knew what was coming. Before the Admiral could answer, the door opened again. A woman in a crisp blue suit walked in, her back straight and her head high. Minji Lee, Earth's ambassador to the stars. Behind her followed 2 more humans, a security officer and a communications specialist. "Ambassador Lee," Kosfen greeted, her with a small bow. "We were just discussing human biology with Dr. Park." "I hope my colleague has been helpful," Minji said with a diplomatic smile. "We're eager to learn about your species as well." "Yes," Kosfen said. "Learning. That is why we are all here." The Admiral gestured to a large circular table. "Please sit. There is much to discuss." They all took seats around the table. Various aliens joined them, each stranger than the last. One seemed to be made of living crystal. Another floated above its chair like a jellyfish in water. Threnval, who appeared to be the chief science officer, placed a small device in the center of the table. It projected a 3D image of a human body, rotating slowly. "We have completed our initial scans of human physiology," Threnval said. "And we are confused." "Confused?" Minji asked. "About what?" "Everything," said a small gray alien with large black eyes. "Your species makes no sense." Jiwon leaned forward. "Could you be more specific?" Threnval touched the device, and the human image zoomed in to show cells and DNA strands. "Your genetic code is both complex and simple. Parts are incredibly efficient, while others appear redundant. Your immune system is both primitive and sophisticated." "That's evolution," Jiwon explained. "Our bodies kept what worked over millions of years, but some features work against survival," argued the crystal being. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "Your spines are poorly designed. Your birthing process is dangerous. Your brains consume too much energy." Minji raised an eyebrow. "Yet, here we are." "Yes," Admiral Kosfen said slowly. "Here you are. That is precisely what puzzles us." The jellyfish-like alien floated closer. "May I show them?" it asked, in a voice like water bubbling. Kosfen nodded. The floating alien changed the display to show a chart with 17 different species listed, These are all council races measured by various traits: physical strength, sensory perception, regenerative abilities, cognitive processing, emotional range, and more. Jiwan studied the chart with interest. Each species had clear strengths and weaknesses. Some were physically powerful but less intelligent. Others had amazing senses but fragile bodies. Now we add humans, the alien said. A new entry appeared on the chart. Unlike the others, the human measurements didn't follow any pattern. They zigzagged across the chart in a seemingly random way. You see the problem? Threnval asked. Every species we have encountered follows a logical evolutionary path. Resources are limited. To excel in one area means sacrificing in another. Yet humans, we're all over the place. Jiwan finished, fascinated. Precisely, said Kosfen. You are physically weak compared to many species, yet you can endure conditions that would kill stronger beings. Your senses are dull, yet you notice patterns others miss. Your emotions seem to hinder logical thinking, yet lead to creative solutions. By all biological laws we understand, Threnval added, your species shouldn't exist. You're simultaneously fragile and indestructible, primitive and advanced, rational and completely illogical. The room fell silent. Jiwan looked at Minji, who maintained her diplomatic smile despite the tension. Perhaps, Minji suggested carefully, your biological laws are incomplete. The crystal being made a sound like breaking glass. It took Jiwan a moment to realize it was laughing. Incomplete laws? The Council has studied life across 12 galaxies for over 50,000 years, it said. Yet you suggest our understanding is lacking? I suggest, Minji replied calmly, that the universe is full of surprises. Isn't that why we explore? Admiral Kosfen's scales shifted to a deeper blue. A diplomatic answer, but it does not explain the human paradox. What paradox? Asked the security officer, speaking for the first time. He looked uncomfortable surrounded by aliens. Your existence, Threnval said simply. You should not be possible. Yet here you stand. Jiwan watched the aliens carefully. He recognized scientific curiosity in their behavior, but something else too. Was it concern? Fear? We would like to run more tests, Threnval continued. With your permission. What kind of tests? Jiwan asked. Nothing harmful, Admiral Kosfen assured them. We seek only understanding. A new alien entered the room, moving quickly on 6 insect-like legs. It whispered something to the Admiral, whose scales suddenly flushed gray. Is something wrong? Minji asked. Not wrong, Kosfen said slowly. But concerning. Our deep scans of your planet's life forms show that humans are not the only Earth species with these contradictory traits. Many Earth creatures defy our biological models. What does that mean? Jiwan asked, the Admiral's gaze fixed on him. It means there is something unique about your world, something we have never encountered before. Is that good or bad? Minji asked directly. Unknown, Kosfen replied. But the Council must be informed. This discovery may change how we classify new worlds. The first formal meeting ended with an agreement to continue discussions the next day. As the humans were escorted to their quarters, Jiwan noticed the aliens watching them with new interest. They're afraid of us, the security officer whispered. Not afraid, Jiwan corrected. Puzzled. We don't fit their understanding of how life works. Minji nodded. And that makes us unpredictable. She smiled slightly. I think that might be our greatest strength in the talks ahead. As Jiwan settled into his strange alien bed that night, he couldn't help but smile at the irony. He had spent his career trying to understand alien life. Now he was the alien that couldn't be understood. Maybe being a paradox wasn't such a bad thing after all. Lieutenant Taiho Kim stood at attention as the airlock door of the GCS luminary hissed open. 3 months had passed since Earth's first contact with the Galactic Council. Now, he was about to become the first human to serve on an alien ship. Welcome. Aboard, Lieutenant Kim, said Commander Zoltpa, a tall alien with pale green skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. I am the executive officer of this vessel. Thank you, Commander, Taiho said with a crisp nod. I'm honored to be here. Zoltpa made a gesture that might have been a smile. The honor is mutual. Your species has become quite famous in council space. Taiho wasn't sure if that was good or bad. He picked up his bag and followed the commander through the gleaming corridors of the luminary. The ship was enormous, with ceilings 3 times the height a human would need. Various aliens moved about their duties, some nodding at Taiho, others staring openly. This is our research vessel's main science deck, Zoltpa explained as they entered a vast circular chamber. You will spend much of your time here. In the center of the room stood Chief Biologist Vreental, the blue-skinned, 4-armed alien who had first examined humans during first contact. Vreental was talking to a human woman, Dr. Yuna Song, Earth's chief medical liaison to the council. Ah, Lieutenant Kim, Dr. Song called out with a friendly wave. Right on time. Doctor? Taiho greeted her with a respectful bow. I didn't expect to see you here. I'm overseeing the initial tests, she explained, making sure our new friends don't accidentally poison you. She smiled at Vreental to show she was partly joking. A valid concern, Vreental said seriously. Human biochemistry remains puzzling. What nourishes other species might harm you, and what harms others seems to have little effect on humans. Taiho had been briefed about this. Humans could eat foods that would kill some aliens, while common alien foods might make humans sick. Their digestive systems were apparently as contradictory as the rest of human biology. That's why I'm here, Taiho said. To help you understand us better. Indeed, said Vreental. We have prepared a series of tests over the next few weeks. Nothing dangerous, I assure you. Taiho nodded. He knew his real job wasn't just being a test subject. It was to show these aliens that humans could work alongside them despite their differences. The first week of tests focused on basic physical abilities. Taiho ran on treadmills, lifted weights, and performed agility exercises while the alien scientists recorded everything. Your endurance makes no sense, Vreental said on the 8th day, reviewing the results. Your muscles are relatively weak compared to many species, yet you continue functioning long after others would stop. Taiho, still catching his breath from a long run, shrugged. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We're not the strongest, but we can keep going. But why? Asked another scientist, a small fuzzy being named Krill Zen. Most predator species evolve for the quick kill. Expending energy over long periods is inefficient. It worked for us, Taiho said simply. Dr. Song, who was monitoring the tests, added, Humans adapted to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Our cooling system, sweating, gives us an advantage for long-distance running. Leaking. Water through your skin as a cooling method, Vreental said, shaking his head. Highly inefficient use of precious bodily fluids, yet effective, Dr. Song pointed out. The aliens made notes on their tablets, still looking confused. By the second week, the tests became more interesting. Taiho was asked to solve puzzles, react to surprises, and work with alien crew members on various tasks. Your problem-solving approach is chaotic, observed a crystal-like alien named Turds. You jump between logical analysis and what you call gut feeling without clear pattern. That's just how humans think, Taiho explained. We use both logic and intuition. Intuition, repeated Turds, the crystal facets of its face shifting. In what might have been confusion. You mean making decisions without complete data? Sometimes having too much data slows you down, Taiho said. Sometimes you need to trust your instincts. This concept seemed to trouble the aliens deeply. Their own thought processes, Taiho learned, were either purely logical like the crystal beings, or worked on different principles altogether, like the hive-minded insectoids who shared a group consciousness. In the 3rd week, Commander Zoltpa invited Taiho to join the regular crew drills. We run emergency simulations to prepare for various disasters, the commander explained. Today's scenario is a hull breach in Section 4. Taiho took his place with a team of 5 aliens. When the alarm sounded, they rushed to follow emergency protocols. The scenario involved a damaged section with injured crew members, represented by weighted dummies. The alien team moved efficiently, following perfect procedure. They secured the area, assessed the damage, and began a careful rescue of the highest priority targets based on their value to the ship. Taiho found himself breaking protocol. He rushed in to grab a wounded alien dummy that wasn't on the priority list. Lieutenant Kim, called Zoltpa. That crew member has already been calculated as a lower rescue priority. The logical action is to secure the navigation officer first. Taiho ignored the command, dragging the dummy to safety before going back for the next one. By the end of the drill, he had rescued all the wounded, but had taken longer than the protocol allowed. In the review session afterward, Commander Zoltpa was puzzled. "You disregarded direct orders and established procedures," the commander said. "Why?" "I couldn't leave anyone behind," Taiho explained. "Even in a simulation. But the protocol exists to maximize survival chances for the greatest number," argued an insectoid crew member. "By taking longer to save low-priority individuals, you risked the overall mission." "Humans don't think like that in emergencies," Dr. Song interjected. "We tend to focus on saving everyone we can, not just the most valuable." "Is this common among humans?" asked Commander Zoltpa, looking genuinely curious. "It's just what we do," Taiho replied with a shrug, not understanding why this confused them so deeply. The aliens exchanged glances. Taiho had seen this look before. The humans make no sense look. By the end of the month, Taiho had become something of a shipboard celebrity. Alien crew members would approach him with questions about Earth and human behavior. Some were professional and scientific, others simply curious. "Is it true humans drink poison for pleasure?" asked a young alien engineer. Taiho laughed. "If you mean alcohol, yes. In small amounts, it's not harmful to us." "And you willingly expose yourselves to ultraviolet radiation to change skin color?" "Some humans do, yes. We call it tanning." "And you watch entertainment that causes fear response?" "Horror." "Movies?" "Sure. Some people enjoy being scared when they know they're safe." Each answer seemed to generate more questions and more confusion among the alien crew. During his final evaluation meeting, Taiho sat across from Vreental, Commander Zoltpa, and Dr. Song. "After 1 month of observation," Vreental began, "we have documented 17 distinct biological and psychological contradictions in human nature." The scientist touched a screen, bringing up a long list. "You seek both safety and danger. You are both selfish and selfless. Your bodies are fragile yet remarkably resilient." "That sounds about right," Taiho said with a smile. "It is not right," Vreental said firmly. "It defies evolutionary logic. A species should have clear strengths and weaknesses, clear survival strategies." Dr. Song leaned forward. "Perhaps the human contradiction is our strength. Our adaptability comes from being a little bit of everything, rather than specializing." "Commander." Zoltpa's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "An interesting theory. It may explain why your species has advanced so quickly despite your limitations." Taiho thought about his month aboard the alien ship. He had learned as much about the aliens as they had about him. Each species had its own unique biology and psychology, its own evolutionary path. What made humans different wasn't that they were special. It was that they didn't fit neatly into any single category. "So what happens now?" Taiho asked. "Now," said Commander Zoltpa, "we recommend to the Council that more humans join galactic service. You are unpredictable, but in ways that may prove valuable." Taiho smiled. Coming from an alien, that was high praise indeed. As he packed his things to return to Earth, Taiho thought about all the other humans who would soon follow in his footsteps. The galaxy was about to meet humanity in all its contradictory glory. It was going to be very interesting. Captain Do-hyun Cho stood on the bridge of the ESS Perseverance, watching the stars streak by. 1 year had passed since Earth's first contact with the Galactic Council. Humans were everywhere in space now, working with aliens, learning their ways and showing them human ways in return. Not all aliens were happy about this. "Captain," called out his communications officer. "Message from Galactic Central. Priority 1. Do-hyun frowned. Priority 1 meant trouble. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of Admiral Kos-Fen. The reptilian, alien scales were a deep, troubled gray. "Captain Cho," the Admiral said. "We have a situation. The mining colony on Nexus 9 has reported a disease outbreak. The Council has placed the entire system under quarantine." Do-hyun nodded. "Understood, Admiral. We'll avoid that sector." "That is not why I contacted you," Kos-Fen said. "We have received a distress call from the colony. They request medical aid. The Council has denied this request due to quarantine protocols." "So why tell me?" Do-hyun asked, though he already knew the answer. Admiral Kos-Fen's eyes narrowed. "Because your ship is the closest to their position, and because I know how humans think. I am officially warning you not to violate the quarantine. Is that clear?" Do-hyun kept his face neutral. "Crystal clear, Admiral." When the transmission ended, Do-hyun turned to his crew. "How many people are on that mining colony?" "About 3,000 workers," said his science officer. "Mostly Threxians, but some other species too." "And how far are we from Nexus 9? "2 days at maximum speed, sir." Do-hyun took a deep breath. "Set course for Nexus 9. His first officer looked up in alarm. "Captain, the Admiral just ordered us not to go there." "No," Do-hyun corrected with a small smile. "He warned us not to go there. There's a difference." "We'll be violating direct Council quarantine protocols," his security chief pointed out. "Yes, we will," Do-hyun agreed. "But there are 3,000 people who need help. Would any of you leave them to die?" The bridge fell silent. Then, one by one, his crew shook their heads. "Setting course for Nexus 9, the navigator said. As the ship changed direction, Do-hyun knew he might be ending his career, but some things were more important than rules. 2 days later, the Perseverance entered orbit around Nexus 9, a small rocky planet with massive mining operations covering its surface. Immediately, their communications system lit up. "This is Colony Director Vextor," came a weak voice. Are you really here to help us?" "This is Captain Cho of the Earthship Perseverance," Do-hyun replied. "Yes, we're here to help. What's your situation?" "Bad," the director said. "The sickness spreads quickly. Over half our people are ill. Our medical facilities are overwhelmed." "We're sending down medical teams immediately," Do-hyun said. "Hang on." The ship's doctor, a composed woman named Dr. Ji-yoon Kwon, prepared her team for the surface. They wore full protective suits, taking every precaution. "Remember," she told them as they boarded the shuttles, "we don't know what we're dealing with. Stay safe, follow protocols, and help everyone you can." Do-hyun watched the shuttles depart from the bridge. "Now we wait," he told his crew. But they didn't have to wait long for trouble. Just 3 hours later, a fleet of Galactic Council ships appeared in the system. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "we're being hailed by the GCS Enforcer." The main screen showed a tall, thin alien with glowing eyes and no visible mouth. Do-hyun recognized the species, the Aritham Collective, known for their cold, calculating logic. "Human vessel," the alien said in a flat voice. "You have violated quarantine protocols established by Council Directive 447B. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Do-hyun stood up straight. "This is Captain Cho. We received a distress call and responded. We have medical teams on the surface right now." "Irrelevant," said the Aritham commander. "The quarantine was established to prevent the spread of a potentially dangerous pathogen. Your emotional response has endangered the greater galactic community." "We're taking all necessary precautions," Do-hyun argued. "Precautions fail. That is why quarantines exist." The alien's voice remained emotionless. "You have 1 hour to recall your teams and surrender your vessel, or we will open fire." The screen went dark. Do-Yun's first officer looked at him with worried eyes. "What do we do, Captain?" Do-Yun hit the ship-wide communication button. "Dr. Kwan, this is the captain. What's your status?" "We've identified the pathogen." Dr. Kwan's voice came back, sounding tired but excited. "It's attacking the respiratory systems of most species, but humans seem immune. We're setting up treatment protocols now." "How long do you need?" "At least 3 days to treat the worst cases and set up automated care systems." Do-Hyun nodded. "You have 1 hour to get back to the ship." "What?" "But Captain, these people will die without—" "That wasn't a suggestion, Doctor. We have a council fleet threatening to open fire. Get your team back now." He cut the communication and turned to his crew. "Prepare all medical supplies for transport. To the surface, everything we can spare, we'll drop it to them before we leave." His crew moved quickly, gathering supplies. 55 minutes later, Dr. Kwan and her team returned to the ship, angry and confused. "We can't leave them," she insisted, standing on the bridge still in her protective suit. "We're not," Do-Hyun said, calmly. "Communications. Open a channel to the Aritham ship." When the alien commander appeared on screen, Do-Hyun spoke clearly and confidently. "My medical team has returned as requested. But before we surrender, I want to speak with High Counselor Senmore. This matter requires full council attention." The Aritham commander paused, calculating. "That is not protocol." "Neither is threatening to fire on a medical mission," Do-Hyun countered. "I invoke Article 12 of the Council Charter, the right to appeal military action before the full council." Another pause. "Very well, you will be escorted to Galactic Central." 3 days later, Do-Hyun found himself standing in the massive council chamber. Representatives from 17 species sat in tiered seats around a central platform where he stood alone. The chamber buzzed with translated whispers from hundreds of alien voices. High Counselor Zenmore, a tall being with 6 arms and eyes that changed color with emotion, called for order. "Captain Do-Hyun Cho of Earth," the counselor began, eyes currently a stern orange. "You stand accused of violating quarantine protocols, endangering galactic safety, and defying council authority. How do you respond?" Do-Hyun looked around the chamber. Among the alien faces, he spotted some humans, Ambassador Minji Lee and Dr. Hyejin Kang, Earth's xenopsychologist. "I received a distress call," Do-Hyun said simply. "I responded. That's what humans do." "Even at risk to yourselves?" asked a representative from the Aritham Collective. "Even when the statistical outcome predicted your failure?" Especially then, the chamber erupted in multilingual chaos as translator devices struggled to convey the concept. Some aliens gestured angrily while others seemed merely confused. "Order," called Zenmore, eyes flashing red. "Captain Cho, your actions endangered more than your crew. If the disease had spread, billions could have died." "My medical team took all proper precautions," Do-Hyun replied. "And they discovered something important. Humans are immune to this pathogen." "That is not relevant," the Aritham representative stated. "The protocols exist to protect all sentient life." "What protects life more?" Do-Hyun asked. "Following rules or saving people who need help?" This question caused another uproar. Dr. Hyejin Kang stepped forward, asking for permission to speak. The council granted it. "Honored counselors," Dr. Kang began, "what you're witnessing is a fundamental difference in human psychology. We evolved as a social species that values immediate aid to those in distress. This trait helped us survive as a species." "A trait that defies logic," said the Aritham representative. "From your perspective, yes," Dr. Kang agreed. "But this illogical response has repeatedly proven beneficial not just to individuals, but to our entire species." Ambassador Minji Lee joined her. "I would like to present new evidence in this case." With the council's permission, Minji displayed a report on the main chamber screen. "This is from the mining colony. Using the supplies Captain Cho delivered before leaving, the colony's medical team developed a treatment based on human antibodies. Not only are all patients recovering, but they've created a vaccine." Zenmore's eyes shifted to a surprised yellow. "Is this verified?" By 3 independent council medical teams, Minji confirmed. Captain Cho's reckless action saved 3,000 lives and prevented the disease from spreading to other systems. The chamber grew quiet as the council members considered this information. The outcome does not justify the violation of protocol, insisted the Aritham representative. Perhaps, admitted Zen more slowly, our understanding of biological possibility requires expansion. The High Counselor's eyes turned a thoughtful blue. And perhaps our protocols should account for different approaches to crisis. The council voted. By a narrow margin, Captain Cho was cleared of all charges. More significantly, the council established a new emergency response protocol that allowed for what they termed human intervention in certain crisis situations. As Do-hyun left the chamber, Ambassador Minji approached him with a smile. Congratulations, Captain, you've changed galactic law. Do-hyun shrugged. I just did W. Commander Ji-young-ryu rubbed her tired eyes as she studied the battle plans. 2 years had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. For most of that time, the galaxy had been at peace. But 3 months ago, everything changed. The Void, Harmony, a mysterious species from the outer rim of the galaxy, had launched a surprise attack against several Council worlds. Their weapons were unlike anything seen before. They didn't destroy ships or planets. They targeted mines, sending out waves that disrupted neural patterns and shut down entire defense systems. Commander, called a voice from the doorway. Admiral Thrixven of the Council Guard entered Ji-young's office aboard the human flagship, HSS Determination. The Admiral was a tall, four-armed being with skin like polished bronze. The Council fleet has assembled. We await your orders. Ji-young nodded. When the attacks began, the Council had done something unexpected. They put humans in charge of the defense. Not because humans had the best ships or weapons, but because humans were the only species whose brains seemed resistant to the Void Harmony's neural weapons. Let's go to the command center, Ji-young said, gathering her tablets. I want to review our strategy with all captains. They walked through the corridors of the massive ship. Council aliens and humans worked side by side, preparing for the coming battle. The tension in the air was thick. In the command center, captains from 17 species waited around a large holographic display. Some attended in person, while others appeared as projected images from their own ships. Thank you for coming, Ji-young began. As you know, the Void Harmony fleet is approaching the Proxima Centauri system. This is the closest they've come to Earth, and we cannot allow them to advance further. She touched the display, showing the enemy fleet's position. Their neural weapons have devastated our forces in previous encounters. They target the logical centers of the brain, causing confusion and shutdown of organized defense systems. Which is why the humans are now in charge, said a crystal captain, its voice chiming like bells. Their chaotic minds resist the attack. Ji-young smiled slightly. Yes, what you call chaos we call adaptability. Our brains don't rely solely on logical patterns, making us harder to predict or disrupt. So what is your strategy, Commander? Asked Admiral Thrixven. Ji-young expanded the display, showing the position of the Allied fleet. We will do what humans do best. Be unpredictable. What followed was a battle plan unlike anything the Council species had ever considered. Instead of the logical, coordinated movements they were used to, Ji-young outlined a strategy that seemed to make no sense at all. Your battle strategies make no sense, protested Admiral Thrixven. You want some ships to retreat when they should advance, others to hold position when they should move, some to attack directly while others circle around. That's the point, Ji-young responded confidently. The Void Harmony weapons work by predicting standard response patterns, so we won't use standard patterns. The alien captains looked confused, but they had no better ideas. Their logical battle plans had failed repeatedly against the enemy. I want each ship captain to be ready to change tactics on my command, Ji-young continued. Sometimes you'll receive orders that seem wrong. Trust that there's a reason. As the meeting ended, Admiral Thrixven approached Ji-young privately. Do you truly believe this chaotic approach will work? Ji-young looked the alien in the eyes. Honestly, I don't know. But predictable strategies have failed. It's time to try something new. The next day, the battle began. The Void Harmony ships, black and sleek like shadows moving through space, approached the Proxima Centauri system. Their neural weapons charged, ready to disable the defending fleet as they had done so many times before. But this time was different. All ships, execute Battle Plan Alpha, Ji-young ordered from the command center. What followed looked like complete disorder. Some ships advanced aggressively, others appeared to flee. Some moved in tight formations while others scattered. There was no logical pattern to the movements. The enemy seemed confused. Their neural weapons fired but hit fewer targets than expected. The ships that were hit recovered more quickly than in previous battles. "It's working," exclaimed Ji-young's tactical officer. "Their weapons are less effective when they can't predict our movements." But the Void Harmony adapted quickly. Their ships began to target the Council vessels that showed signs of damage, focusing their fire. "They're learning," Ji-young observed. All ships switched to Battle Plan Delta. Now, the entire fleet suddenly changed tactics. Ships that had been attacking fell back. Ships that had been hiding rushed forward. The formations constantly shifted and changed. On board the Council support ship Endurance, engineer Sung-hoon Bae worked frantically in the engine room. The ship had been hit by a neural blast and systems were failing. "The shield generators are overloading," reported a Threxian engineer. "We can't maintain protection against another hit." Sung-hoon stared at the damaged systems. Standard repairs would take too long. He needed something new, something unexpected. "What if we reverse the polarity of the shield generators?" he suggested. The Threxian looked shocked. "That would create an energy feedback loop. The shields would collapse. Or," Sung-hoon countered, "it might create a new frequency that the enemy weapons can't penetrate." "This defies all engineering principles," the Threxian protested. "I know," Sung-hoon said with a grim smile. "But what choice do we have? With no better options, they made the modifications. When the next neural blast hit the ship, something unexpected happened. Instead of shutting down, the shields absorbed the energy and held." "It worked!" Sung-hoon exclaimed. "Quick, transmit the shield. Modifications to the rest of the fleet." "How did you know this would work?" the Threxian asked, mandibles clicking in amazement. "I didn't," Sung-hoon admitted. "I just hoped really hard." The concept of hoping really hard left the alien engineer speechless. Back on the Determination, Ji-young received the shield modification data. "Send this to all ships immediately," she ordered, "and prepare for our final push." With their ships now better protected against the neural weapons, the Allied fleet pressed their advantage. Ji-young's unpredictable tactics kept the enemy off balance. "All ships, execute final pattern Omega," she commanded. The Allied fleet suddenly formed into what looked like complete disorder. Ships moved in seemingly random directions, firing at unexpected moments, changing speed and position without apparent reason. The Void Harmony fleet, unable to predict these movements, couldn't target effectively. For the first time since the war began, the enemy ships began to retreat. "They're pulling back," announced the tactical officer. "All 3 Proxima colonies are safe." A cheer went up in the command center. Even the usually stoic alien officers joined in the celebration. Admiral Thrix-Ven approached Ji-young, eyes wide with wonder. "Commander, I must admit I did not believe your strategy would succeed. It violated every principle of tactical warfare we know." Ji-young smiled. "Sometimes you have to break the rules to win. But how could you know it would work?" the Admiral asked. "I didn't know," Ji-young admitted. "I had a theory based on what we understood about their weapons, but mostly it was human intuition." "This intuition," Thrix-Ven said the word carefully as if tasting something strange. "It is not logical, yet it succeeded where logic failed." "That's the human paradox," Ji-young replied. "We thrive in situations where the logical path doesn't work." After the battle, representatives from all Council species gathered to analyze what had happened. The Void Harmony had been driven back for the first time, and everyone wanted to understand why. "The human-led defense succeeded for 2 reasons," explained the Council's chief military analyst. "First, Their neural structure made them resistant to the enemy's main weapons. Second, their unpredictable tactics confused an enemy that relies on predicting responses. In other words, and said a council elder, they succeeded because they are illogical. Not illogical, corrected Dr. Hejin Kang, who had been called to explain human psychology. Different. Humans combine logic with intuition, reason with emotion. We don't follow a single path of thought. The council chambers fell silent as the aliens considered this. Perhaps, suggested High Counselor Zenmore, what we have long seen as the human flaw, their contradictory nature, is actually their greatest strength. Sung-Hoon Bae, who had been invited to explain his shield modification, nodded. We humans have a saying, thinking outside the box. It means finding solutions beyond the normal rules. But how do you know when to follow rules and when to break them? Asked a confused council member. Sung-Hoon smiled. We don't always know. Sometimes we guess. Sometimes we hope. Sometimes we just try something new and see what happens. This answer didn't satisfy the logical aliens, but they couldn't argue with the results. The human approach had saved 3 colony worlds and turned the tide of the war. As the meeting ended, Admiral Thrixven approached Ji-young one last time. We have much to learn from humans, the Admiral admitted. For millennia, we believed the path to advancement was through perfect logic and order. Now I wonder if we have been wrong. Ji-young shook her head. Not wrong, just different. The galaxy needs both approaches, the logical and the intuitive. Together, we're stronger than either would be alone. The Admiral considered this, then extended all 4 hands. Dr. Ji-won Park stood at the window of his office on Galactic Central Station, looking out at the stars. 5 years had passed since humans first met the Galactic Council. 5 years of sharing knowledge, facing challenges, and slowly finding their place among the stars. Today was special. The Council's centennial Grand Assembly was about to begin. Only once every 100 years did representatives from all Council species gather to discuss the fundamental principles that guided galactic civilization, and for the first time a human would address the assembly. A soft chime sounded at his door. Enter, Ji-won called. Ambassador Minji Lee walked in, her diplomatic uniform crisp and formal. Though her hair now showed streaks of gray, she carried herself with the same confidence as when she first faced the council 5 years ago. Ready for your big speech? She asked with a smile. Ji-won nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. Are you sure I'm the right person for this? You've been Earth's voice for 5 years. This isn't about diplomacy, Minji said. It's about science, about explaining what we've learned. Nobody can do that better than you. She checked her watch. It's time. Gentor is waiting for you in the main hall. Ji-won gathered his notes and took a deep breath. Together they walked to the Great Assembly Chamber. The Grand Assembly Hall was massive, designed to accommodate thousands of representatives from across the galaxy. The curved walls rose high overhead, meeting in a dome that showed the real-time positions of all council worlds. At the center was a circular stage where speakers would address the assembly. As Ji-won entered, he spotted his colleague waiting near the stage. Gentor was a Threxian quantum biologist who had worked closely with Ji-won for the past 3 years. The alien was tall and slender, with silver-blue skin and 4 arms. 2 of those arms now waved in greeting. Dr. Park, Gentor said warmly, I was beginning to worry you had changed your mind. I considered it, Ji-won admitted. This is a big responsibility. Indeed, the alien agreed, but a necessary one. Our work must be shared with all. A soft tone sounded throughout the hall, signaling the start of the assembly. High Counselor Zenmore, now in the 5th year of leadership, took the central stage. Representatives of the Galactic Council, the counselor began, voice echoing through the vast chamber. We gather once a century to examine our fundamental understanding of the universe and update our shared knowledge. Today, we begin with a proposal unlike any we have considered before. Zenmore gestured toward Ji-won and Gentor. Dr. Jiwan Park of Earth and Dr. Gentor of Threxia will present their findings on what they call the human element. This concept challenges our basic understanding of biology, psychology, and perhaps reality itself. Jiwan took a deep breath as he and Gentor walked to the center stage. Thousands of alien eyes followed their movement. The chamber fell silent. Honored representatives, Jiwan began, his voice steady. 5 years ago, when humans first met, the council, we were called a paradox. Our biology made no sense to you. Our psychology seemed contradictory. You wondered how we could even exist. He smiled slightly. Today I don't come with answers to those questions. Instead, I bring evidence that the paradox is real, important, and perhaps fundamental to understanding the universe. Gentor stepped forward. For 3 years I have worked with Dr. Park and other human scientists to study what we now call the human element, a set of principles that exist outside our current understanding of universal laws, but nevertheless demonstrably affect reality. The alien activated a holographic display that filled the air above the stage. It showed hundreds of documented cases where human actions had defied standard scientific explanation. Medical recoveries that should have been impossible engineering. Solutions that worked despite theoretical limitations. Crisis responses that succeeded against overwhelming odds. Cognitive leaps that bridged gaps in knowledge without logical progression. In each case, Jiwan explained, traditional scientific principles said these outcomes were impossible. Yet they happened, not once or twice, which might be dismissed as error, but hundreds of times across different fields and circumstances. Our current theory, Gentor continued, is that human biology and psychology operate at an intersection between known physical laws and something else, something we don't yet understand. A ripple of whispers spread through the assembly. This was radical thinking. For thousands of years, the Council had built its understanding of the universe on consistent, predictable, physical laws. An Aritham representative rose from the audience. This is not science, the logical being objected. You describe outcomes without explaining mechanisms. You claim effects without identifying causes. Jiwan nodded. You're right. We don't know the mechanisms yet. But good science begins by observing what happens even when we can't explain why. Consider the human immune system, Gentor added. By all standard models, it should not be as effective as it is. Yet humans survive diseases that should kill them. They recover from injuries that should be fatal. Or consider human creativity, Jiwan said. Humans make mental connections that have no logical pathway. They imagine possibilities that have no basis in experience. The hologram shifted to show the battle against the void harmony, where human unpredictability had turned the tide of war. When Commander Ryu used chaotic battle tactics, they shouldn't have worked better than logical ones, Jiwan pointed out. When Engineer Bay reversed the shield polarity, it should have failed catastrophically. Instead, it succeeded. We propose, Gentor said firmly, that there is a quality in human thought and biology that we have not yet measured or quantified. We call it the human element. It allows humans to occasionally transcend what should be possible. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some representatives seemed intrigued, others disturbed. The concept challenged the very foundation of council science. After allowing the debate to continue for some time, High Counselor Sen Moore called for order. This is indeed a radical proposal, the counselor acknowledged. Yet we cannot ignore the evidence. For 5 years, humans have consistently achieved outcomes our models said were impossible. An elder from the crystal species rose. If we accept this concept, what are the implications? Does it mean our understanding of reality is flawed? Not flawed, Jiwan clarified. Incomplete. Just as Newtonian physics wasn't wrong but was later expanded by quantum physics to explain more complex phenomena, Gentor nodded. We believe the human element represents a gap in our understanding, something that connects known physical laws to possibilities we haven't yet mapped. After hours of debate and questions, the council called for a vote. By a narrow margin, they approved the establishment of the Human Paradox Institute, a new research body dedicated to studying the phenomenon. As the assembly concluded, Admiral Kosfen approached Jiwan and Minji in the corridor outside. The reptilian, alien scales were now a calm, reflective blue. 5 years ago I called humans an evolutionary impossibility, the Admiral said. I was correct, but my conclusion was wrong. Sometimes the impossible is exactly what evolution requires. Minji smiled. The universe is full of surprises, Admiral. That's what makes it worth exploring. Indeed, Kosfen agreed. And perhaps what makes humans unique is not that you are different from other species, but that you embody the universe's capacity for surprise. Later that evening, Jiwan and Minji stood on the observation deck of the station, watching Earth rise over the curve of the moon. The blue planet glowed against the blackness of space, beautiful and somehow still mysterious. So, after 5 years, we still don't know what a human is, Minji said with a smile. And maybe that's the point, Jiwan replied. Maybe what makes us human is that we can't be fully explained or predicted. We exist in the space between what is possible and what should be impossible. Is that science or philosophy, she asked. Both, Jiwan said. Or maybe neither. Maybe it's just the human way of seeing things. As they watched their home planet spin below them, Jiwan thought about how far humanity had come. From a single world to the stars. From being seen as an evolutionary mistake to being valued for their unique perspective. The galaxy still couldn't explain what a human was. And perhaps it never would. But it had learned to appreciate the mystery rather than fear it. And in the end, that was enough. Humanity's place in the stars was secured not despite their contradictions, but because of them. In a universe governed by strict laws and logical progression, humans represented something precious, the capacity for the unexpected, the ability to hope, and the gift of defying expectation. What's next for us? Minji asked, looking out at the stars. I don't know, Jiwan answered honestly. And isn't that the most human answer of all? They laughed together as Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, carrying its impossible humans forward into an unknown future, full of possibilities that no one, not even humans themselves, could predict. The end.